Hi there, my name is JFB. I am 3 times World DMC Champion, and I'm here to show you how I use Loopcloud to make tracks and scratch routines. Right, so I'm just going to load up this session which I use for the scratch routine. So I found this piano sample which I really liked. I then found this awesome bass line. And then this pad-like sample, which fit on top of nicely. I then found these awesome strings. Which I chopped up later, I'll show you that in a bit. Also found this nice horn. And this vocoded kind of sample, which I thought would be good to scratch. Also, this sound here, which is the flute tone which I use in the scratch routine, which you'll see in a bit. So what I did is all of these tracks here I wanted to export as audio files. The BPM here is 175 BPM that I set because I wanted to make a drum and bass track. So what I do is you go to export and you pick processed separate files. If I selected original separate files, all the samples would be in their original BPMs and out of time and stuff like that. So click process separate files and export to location, pick what I want, desktop. It then will send all the files to my desktop. Right, so what I did was I imported all those files into Logic here. And as you can see, that string I chopped into just 3 notes and looped. On top of that, I had the piano, and then I added the bass line there and that pad here. The first flute down here. Got the second main flute down there. And I've got that vocal sample here. And so basically what I did with all that is I then chucked in some drums from another track and built a little arrangement. Just going to skip ahead. Kind of made like a real basic track there, but what I wanted to do is turn that into a scratch routine. So given that I made this arrangement, I then worked out in my head some sort of guesses on what I want to scratch and how I want to scratch it. So what I did was I then bounced down the track separately again into audio files to test. So we've got this. That's like a backing track for me to scratch things on top of. I've got the bass separate, this flute, the horn, this melody, the vocal sample, those strings, and the piano sample. After putting those sounds into Serato, scratching with them to test them out, I then went back and forth from this arrangement here and this very simple looking one here. And this is the actual scratch routine audio. So what I've got is in the top track here, I've got silent audio waves, which represent the time of each revolution of the turntable. Now I'm just going to grab my record here. This marker here on my Serato timecode is basically what I use to pinpoint the sound I'm going to scratch. It's basically like instead of using headphones, I use this visual marker and it allows me to find the samples quicker. I worked out that 1 revolution of the deck running at 0 pitch on 33 RPM is exactly 1.8 seconds. This also translates to 1 bar being 133.333 BPM. Because of that, I then bounced down a silent audio wave to use as a marker. These 2 tracks here are the left deck, and to start with, I put the audio of the strings. And then on the next revolution comes in the flute, which I scratched. And then with that Move It sample, what I did was I time stretched it so it would sound longer, like more like a tone. And because it was a vocoded sample, the actual reduction on quality by time stretching it actually made it sound better for scratching. So that's literally, up until this point here, is all I really do on the left deck, apart from this bit. It's a little sample of the backing track, which I use for beat juggling at the end. That's the left turntable. And on the right deck, I've got the strings again. And then after one revolution, my marker spot, it then goes into the backing track. So the whole duration of this, I'm just scratching these samples on top. Luckily, we're using the Reloop RP 8000 MK2 turntables for this routine, and they have got this incredible feature which allows you to change notes and set your own notes in scale. Coincidentally, this flute and this time-stretched sample are the root key of this track. What I did in Serato was I put an auto loop in Serato in certain sections, and so that if I let the record play, it just carries on looping. And given the function in the Reloop decks, I'm able to change key while scratching with them. Yeah, so these decks are amazing. What I've got going is I've got a flute sample which is looped in Serato. And these buttons down here allow me to change key. It actually changes the speed of the deck. So what you can do is called Platter play. Basically, you select Platter play, and then you can set different scales. It's got tons of different scales. So this actual flute sample is luckily the root note of the track. So starting down here, and yeah, so the green ones go up, and the red ones go down. So there you go, I'm JFB. That's how I use Loopcloud to make my scratch routines, and thanks for watching.